Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my top 12 tight end rankings for fantasy football in 2021. Inside today's video, I'm going to be going in depth on each tight end ranked inside of my top 12 rankings, as well as explaining why I have them ranked in each and every single spot inside of the top 12. But before we get on to this in-depth breakdown into the tight end position, I would like to ask, if you are new to my YouTube channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 Fantasy Football Championship. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you hit that like button down below to help boost this video up the algorithm so that more beautiful people like yourself can see today's video. But before we get into it, I would like to give you guys a quick word from my friends and my sponsor over at Owner's Box. Owner's Box is offering you guys a free entry into their $100,000 contest. Just go onto the website using the link in the description, sign up, and then go to the lobby to find the $100,000 NFL Week 1 contest. Then click up here where it says promo code and enter promo code DREW9 to get that free entry into the $100,000 contest. You can also win a free signed Drew Brees jersey up until Sunday, so make sure that you guys sign up now. This is a super flex DFS website, the only one that does it like this. There's no defense, no kicker. It is all offense. You guys can see my roster on the right that I'm going to be entering. Quarterback Kirk Cousins. My running backs are Christian McCaffrey and Damian Harris. Wide receivers are Justin Jefferson and Marvin Jones. Tight end is Irv Smith. Our flexes are Tyler Boyd, Russell Gage, and our super flex is Joe Burrow. It is very easy to sign up. Only took me a couple of minutes to do. Only took me a little bit of time to enter this contest. So make sure you use promo code DREW9 and you get a free entry into the $100,000 contest, as well as an entry into potentially winning a signed Drew Brees jersey. Make sure that you guys check it out. Link down below in the description, as well as in the pinned comment. And we are back. Please make sure to check them out at the link in the description, as well as the link in the pinned comment. So without further ado, let's get in onto the video. My number one ranked tight end for fantasy football, and every single other person on Earth's number one tight end for fantasy football this year, is Travis Kelce, tight end of the Kansas City Chiefs. Underdog ADP, tight end number one off the board. Overall pick 6.50. Now, in most redraft formats, he does not go at around pick 6. Typically, he's getting picked at the end of the first round or at the very beginning of the second round. You never really see him slip very far into the second round. And the reason why people are so fond of drafting Travis Kelce early is because of the advantage that you get and the safety that you get when you get a guy like Travis Kelce onto your team, because the positional advantage at tight end is very important in fantasy football, because after Travis Kelce and then after Darren Waller, in my opinion, who's my number 2 tight end, who we'll be talking about in a little bit, things start to get a little bit more dicey. And as you continue to fall deeper and deeper into the tight end rankings, more confusion comes up, and those are guys that are not going to be averaging anywhere near the amount of points that a guy like Travis Kelce can average. So that is why people like drafting tight ends early, like Travis Kelce, because he just brings that safety to your team, and he also gives you that very big positional advantage that you may need to win your 2021 Fantasy Football League. In 15 games last year, Travis Kelce was the tight end number 1 in PPR, tight end number 1 in half PPR, and the tight end number 1 in standard, averaging 20.9 PPR points per game, 17.4 half PPR points per game, and 13.9 standard points per game. Meaning, from a points per game perspective, he was the tight end number 1 in all formats, doing this on one of the best offenses in the NFL with one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the NFL. So it should come to basically no one's surprise that Travis Kelce is probably going to be really fucking good again in 2021, because not too much has changed on this offense. If not, the offensive line has gotten a lot better, and there's still just enough room for Travis Kelce to see a humongous target share yet again in 2021. Last year, Travis Kelce had 145 targets, 9.7 per game, ranking number 2 at the tight end position for 105 receptions, 7 per game, ranking second at tight end for 1,416 receiving yards, 94.4 per game, ranking number 1 at the tight end position with 11 total touchdowns on the season, number 1 at tight end. He also had a 25% target share in the Chiefs offense, 28.6% in the red zone. His target share was number 2 at tight end. That is so crazy. 25%, meaning 1/4 of the time Mr. Patty Mahomes drops back there and throws the ball, it is going to go to Travis Kelce. And I don't see that number really changing at all, getting any lower. If not, it may end up getting even higher. Travis Kelce is just the definition of a safe tight end. Inside of the end of the first round, inside the early second round, it is so hard to pass up on the talent that Travis Kelce has, because to me, there's really only one other tight end that we're going to be talking about in this video that I believe could actually surpass Travis Kelce, unless, of course, Patrick Mahomes got hurt, or obviously, of course, if Travis Kelce got hurt, he probably won't finish as the #1 tight end, but that has not really been a concern, injury concern, basically, for him in his past. So I really do like Travis Kelce this season, and I would find myself very hard-pressed to rank anyone over him as the tight end #1. At number 2, we have Darren Waller, tight end of the Las Vegas Raiders. Underdog ADP, tight end #2 off the board, overall pick 22.90. Right now, Darren Waller is continuing to creep up into the second round of average draft position. Would I be comfortable taking him there? Yes, but I would definitely prefer to get him inside of the third round. In 16 games last year, Darren Waller finished as the tight end #2 in PPR, 2.5 PPR, and the tight end #2 in standard, averaging 17.4 PPR points per game, 14.1 half PPR points per game, and 10.7 standard points per game, meaning from a points per game perspective, he was the tight end #2 in all formats. Now, the reason why he was the tight end #2 was not because of the targets, not because of the receptions, not because of the receiving yards, but it was because of the amount of touchdowns he ended up scoring. Last year, he had 146 targets on the season, 9.1 per game, playing in all 16 games, ranking #1 at tight end. 107 receptions, 6.7 per game, ranking #1 at tight end. 1,195 receiving yards, 74.7 per game, ranking #2 at tight end, with 9 total touchdowns, ranking #3 at tight end. And he also had the highest target share of any tight end in the NFL, 28% target share, ranking #1, with a 32.9 red zone target share, which is even crazier because that means that basically near one third of the time Derek Carr throws the ball in the red zone is going to Darren Waller. So, with that said, you should probably expect, if the Raiders' offense is a bit better, that Darren Waller could easily score the most touchdowns at the tight end position. So Darren Waller is a guy that I'm also very aggressively targeting inside of my drafts to get that positional advantage. I think Darren Waller really is the only tight end that could somehow surpass Travis Kelce because of the amount of targets he sees in the Las Vegas Raiders offense. He is also, by far and away, the clear #1 target on the Raiders team, whereas Travis Kelce, obviously, Tyreek Hill is also a very excellent target. Darren Waller doesn't have too much around him. I know we hype up guys like Henry Ruggs, John Brown, Bryan Edwards for fantasy football, but to me, even if one of them were to have a pop-off of a season, they were to play fucking excellent chef's kiss, I'm not even sure they would be able to surpass Darren Waller in targets on this offense. Again, 146 is a really, really high amount, especially for the tight end position. At number 3, we have George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. Current ADP right now, tight end #3, overall pick 27.30. So earlier on in the offseason, I think most people had George Kittle as the clear #2 tight end, but after a lot of people got to thinking, they realized that Darren Waller's upside, at least in my opinion, is much higher than George Kittle. And I'm not coming over here to tell you guys that George Kittle is a shitty tight end or something, or that he shouldn't even be close to these guys, because talking about skill set at the tight end position, George Kittle may actually be the best tight end skill set wise, but I believe that he could be struggling immensely this season to be getting targets if Trey Lance was to go under center and be the starting quarterback. Now, when will that happen? Will that happen? I'm not sure. The only other risk with George Kittle has to be injury, because it seems like every year he is definitely missing some time, and that is very concerning, especially when you're drafting a guy inside of the third round. In 8 games, he finishes the tight end 19 in PPR last year, 19.5 PPR, as well as in standard, averaging 15.6 PPR points per game, 12.6 half PPR points per game, and 9.3 standard points per game, meaning from a points per game perspective, George Kittle was the tight end #3 in all formats. So I think he's sitting very pretty at the tight end #3 spot, but the injury concerns, as well as my concern overall that if Trey Lance is going to take over, I believe the efficiency of this offense will actually be much stronger, but the overall amount of targets going George Kittle's way, I think, could be limited by the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is not the quarterback and the fact that they should not be throwing the ball as much if Trey Lance is under center. Last year, in those 8 games, George Kittle had a total of 63 targets, 7.9 per game, ranking 19th at the tight end position, 48 receptions, 6 per game, ranking 15th for 634 receiving yards, 9th at tight end, with just 2 touchdowns, number 35 at the tight end position. Now, I'm not trying to, like I said, dig George Kittle a fucking grave or something, but what I'm trying to imply to you is that I believe there's a much wider gap between Darren Waller and George Kittle than most people are willing to talk about. Again, am I fine taking Kittle in the 3rd round? Yes, but I would get pretty nervous to make that selection because of my worries of his health, as well as with the change at the quarterback position. But before we get into tight end number 4, I'd like to ask if you guys have ended up enjoying thus far, to please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you're new, and if you're not new, or even if you are, please make sure that you are hitting that like button to help boost this video up the algorithm. Back up into it. At number 4, we have tight end of the Detroit Lions, TJ Hawkinson, underdog ADP, tight end number 6 off of the board right now, overall pick 61.90. 61.90. This guy's going in the 6th round, and to me, I would feel a lot safer going into the season having TJ Hawkinson over George Kittle. I have talked about this a lot ad nauseum on my channel, but TJ Hawkinson to me is the tight end that I will most closely compare to Darren Waller. Now, I'm not saying TJ Hawkinson is as good as Darren Waller, but what I'm saying is they're in very similar situations. Darren Waller is by far and away the best target on this team. Same thing goes with TJ Hawkinson. When they had Kenny Golladay, when they had Marvin Jones, that was not true. But right now, with Kenny Golladay obviously gone in New York, with Marvin Jones in Jacksonville, TJ Hawkinson is going to have to elevate himself to be the clear number 1 target on this team, and I believe he will do so this season. In 16 games, finishing as the tight end number 5 last season, number 4 in half PPR, and the tight end number 5 in standard, averaging 11 PPR points per game, 8.9 half PPR points per game, and 6.8.1 off of being very nice with 6.8 standard points per game. From a points per game perspective, he was the tight end number 6 in PPR, tied with Logan Thomas, as well as Robert Tonyan, and the tight end number 7 in half PPR, tied with Mike Licki, and tight end number 8 in standard. So, the reason why I see an uptick in targets here for TJ Hawkinson, who already had a lot last season, is because that wide receiver core there isn't very dependable. And Jared Goff is going to be someone who doesn't want to get his job stolen from him. He's trying to win these games. So what he's going to do is key into, lock onto TJ Hawkinson and feed this guy with 7 zillion targets. He had 101 targets last year, 6.3 per game, ranking 5th at tight end, 67 receptions, 4.2 per game, ranking 4th, 723 receiving yards, 45.2 per game, ranking 3rd at tight end with 6 total touchdowns, and 18% target share in the Lions offense, 10th at tight end, and a 23% red zone target share. Now again, I see this all going up. I see this as a team that is going to be bad, a team that is going to have to pass the football a lot, especially later on in the games. And with the fact that Hawkinson is their best target, I believe TJ Hawkinson is going to feast like a Thanksgiving dinner-esque feast in 2021. I don't know why he is the tight end number 6. I actually cannot explain it, because I think the amount of risk that comes with TJ Hawkinson is very low, and the amount of upside, the amount of ceiling that TJ Hawkinson also has is immense. So I'm all in on TJ Hawkinson this season. You guys have seen me talk about him a lot. I take him inside the 5th round in a lot of my mock drafts, so I figure you guys who have been watching my channel for a while already know how much I like Hawkinson, but for those of you who are new to the channel, shout out to you, thank you for coming. TJ Hawkinson is in the perfect scenario for success in 2021. Next up, we have Mock Andrews, tight end of the Baltimore Ravens. Underdog ADP, tight end number 5. Overall pick 59.80 right now. That makes him the final pick inside of the 5th round in a 12-team league. Now, with Mark Andrews, there is some injury concern right now. Earlier today, Ravens tight end Mark Andrews seems to have left Ravens practice on a cart. They got him on an IV, he collapsed, and now there is an ambulance. Hope he's alright, is a tweet from Lindsay. Okay. That doesn't sound very good. Now again, it could just be cramps. It could just be all of this other kind of stuff that could have happened. I don't think he's hurt or anything, but it's still worrisome. Still worrisome. A lot of people are pointing towards the fact that he is a diabetic, and that could be what that's from. I'm not a doctor or anything, so I don't know. I'm just telling you guys what I know about Mark Andrews. I think he will be fine, and I am recording this on August 19th. You guys are watching this on August 19th, so you will probably know by tomorrow if Mark Andrews is okay or not. My assumption is he's going to be perfectly fine, so I figured I would just tell you this, but it's not something that to me has a huge impact on my thoughts on Mark Andrews. In 14 games last year, Mock Andrews finishes the tight end number 6 in PPR, 5.5 PPR, and the tight end number 4 in standard, averaging 12.2 PPR points per game, 10.1 half PPR points per game, and 8 standard points per game. Meaning, from a points per game perspective, Mark Andrews was the tight end number 4 in PPR, 4.5 PPR, and the tight end number 4 in standard, coming off of an explosive 2019 sleeper season. If you watched my channel in 2019, you would have known that I was a big fan of Mark Andrews last year. Wasn't as big of a fan, but I still liked him, and he didn't live up to the expectations because basically everyone had him as their tight end number 2 or 3 last season. Last year, it was Kelsey, it was Kittle, and it was Andrews as the top 3 tight ends, and I guess Andrews technically failed in that case, but it was because the team just was not as successful last season. It seems like defenses might have slightly figured the Baltimore Ravens out. I'm not too worried about it this season. I think he's going to be perfectly fine at tight end number 5, but again, I don't really feel super excited to draft him the same way I would for TJ Hawkinson, who is being drafted obviously tight end number 6, Mark Andrews tight end number 5, so you're getting a discount on Hawkinson. Again, I'm fine drafting Mark Andrews, but I'm just not ultra excited about it. Last year, Mark Andrews reeled in 89 targets, 6.4 per game, ranking 9th at tight end, 58 receptions, 4.1 per game, ranking 9th at tight end, 701 receiving yards, ranking 5th, and 7 total touchdowns on the season with a 24.9% target share in the offense. 3rd at tight end, 32.7 red zone target share. Very good. He's a very big part of this offense. So if his touchdowns were to increase in 2021, then he should easily be able to finish inside the top 5 yet again in 2021. Again, nothing super special about Mark Andrews. I just feel as though he's a fine tight end to take inside of the 5th, 6th round where he is going, and nothing really too special about him, unless, of course, he scores like 19 touchdowns or something crazy. I don't really see him finishing as the number 1 overall tight end in fantasy football. And closing in the top 6, we have Kyle Pitts, tight end of the Atlanta Falcons. Current ADP, tight end number 4 off the board, overall pick 47.30, so he's the final pick right now in a 12-team league of the 4th round. At his ADP, tight end number 4 in the 4th round, I will tell you right now, I will not draft Kyle Pitts once in that scenario. Not even once. But there are a lot of drafts I've seen where Kyle Pitts get drafted in the 6th round, in the late 5th round. And at that point, I'm fine taking the risk because I understand the immense amount of upside that comes with Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is a tight end who people are comparing to Calvin Johnson. People are saying that this guy is a freak athlete, and if you flip his tape on from Florida in college, you would see the exact same thing. There's a reason why he was drafted so highly in the 2021 NFL draft, but all statistics that you can find will point directly against the fact that Kyle Pitts will be a top 5 tight end. The statistics I'm talking about are that in the last decade, 10 years, the last 10 years, one tight end in his rookie season has finished inside the top 5. Now, can Kyle Pitts break that down? 100%. But unlike what Katniss Everdeen was talking about in the Hunger Games, the odds are not really in Kyle Pitts' favor. I have him ranked as the tight end number 6 because I feel like if you push him any further back, then you're just being ignorant using those stats to just push some type of agenda. Okay, I believe he's going to be the tight end number 6. I like him. I think he's a solid tight end on a team that's going to throw him the ball in Atlanta. His stats at college were great. Last year in 8 games in 2020 at 20 years old, 43 receptions on 67 targets, 770 receiving yards, 17.9 yards per reception, and 12 total touchdowns. He had an excellent season. He's a big motherfucker. There is a reason why he was drafted so highly. But please, just temper your expectations a little bit on Kyle Pitts. I still think he's going to be good. I'm still fine taking him in the 6th round, but again, in the 4th, in the 5th round, I definitely believe there is a lot of risk that is baked into drafting a rookie tight end even one in Kyle Pitts, who's a freak athlete, probably the best tight end prospect we have seen in years at that draft price. Now on to tight ends 7 through 10. Coming in at number 7, we have my main man, Irv Smith, tight end of the Minnesota Vikings, underdog ADP, tight end number 12 off the board, overall pick 127. So this guy's an 11th round pick, and I have him ranked as my tight end number 7. Now his stats last year, they're not jaw-dropping. They're not going to make you salivate down your fucking whole body to draft this guy. But you want to know what will? The splits that we're about to be talking about in a second. In 13 games last year, tight end 22 in PPR, 22.5 PPR, and the tight end number 21 in standard, averaging 7.6 PPR points per game, 6.4 half PPR points per game, and 5.3 standard points per game, meaning from a points per game perspective, he was the tight end 24 in PPR, 24.5 PPR, and the tight end number 21 in standard. On the season, he had a total of 43 targets, 3.3 per game, ranking 33rd. At tight end, 30 receptions, 2.3 per game, 31st. 365 receiving yards, 28.1 per game, 27th. And 5 total tugs, 13th at the tight end position. So again, nothing super special out of Irv Smith last year, but what you have to understand is the context to this situation. Last season, Irv Smith was the backup tight end. Kyle Rudolph was ahead of him, listed ahead of him. So, Kyle Rudolph, when healthy, was stealing everything from Irv Smith. Irv Smith was a guy that a lot of people were touting out of college when he came out a couple of years ago. But he has not been given the chance until this season. And I believe when he is given the chance, like he has in the past last 2 years, especially last season when he was given the chance to be the starting guy, he will be very, very productive. So last year, he played in 8 games with Kyle Rudolph, 4 games without. In those 8 games with Kyle Rudolph, he was averaging just 5.9 PPR points per game. But take Rudolph out of the equation, 12.83 PPR points per game, 4.96 half PPR points per game with Rudolph, 10.95 without for standard, 4.03 in those 8 games with Rudolph, 9.08 without. His targets went up 2.88 versus 5 without Kyle Rudolph per game, 1.88 receptions to 3.75 per game. He had 0.25 touchdowns without Kyle or with Kyle Rudolph, 0.75 per game without Kyle Rudolph, 22.75 yards per game versus 45.75. Every single statistic went up. Now, I know a lot of people point against Irv Smith because, oh, Nick, you know the Minnesota Vikings don't really throw the ball a lot, right? You know they really like to run the ball with Dalvin Cook. There's not enough room for Irv Smith. Okay, then why was he scoring so many points when he was, healthy last year, when he was the guy? Not that when he was healthy, because he was healthy basically the whole year, but when he was actually starting on the team, he was really good. So why is that? It's because he's really fucking good and because Kirk Cousins is going to throw the ball. Kirk Cousins wouldn't have had Justin Jefferson finish how he did last season if all they did was hand the ball to Dalvin Cook. So I believe that Irv Smith is in for a big season in 2021. Next up at tight end number 8, we have Tyler Higbee of the LA Rams, underdog ADP, tight end number 9, overall pick 103.7, so a back half of the 9th round pick right now. Last year, Tyler Higbee in 15 games was a huge disappointment, but if you guys remember watching my videos from last year, if you did, shout out to you, I was talking about how Tyler Higbee was kind of not a guy I was looking to overwhelmingly target. Now, I didn't say he was going to be a bust or something. I thought he was just going to be okay, but he ended up failing as he was getting these super high expectations put onto him because deep down the stretch of the 2019 season, this guy was electric. He was putting up so many fantasy points, but that's because Gerald Everett was hurt. Once Gerald Everett was back, it was a nasty split share. But guess what? Now Everett is gone. He's in Seattle, and the door is wide open for Tyler Higbee to have an excellent season like he did down the stretch in 2019. In 15 games, Higbee was the tight end 17 in PPR, 18.5 PPR, and the tight end number 16 in standard, averaging 8.5 PPR points per game, 7.1 half PPR points per game, and 5.6 standard points per game. Meaning from a points per game perspective, he was the tight end number 22 in PPR, 21.5 PPR, and the tight end number 20 in standard, with his numbers being 60 targets, just 4 per game, ranking 21 at tight end. In 15 games, just having 60 targets is terrible. 44 receptions, 19th at tight end, 522 receiving yards, 17th at tight end, and 5 total touchdowns, 13th at tight end. So again, his year was not very good at all. But what I want to spread again is the context. The context here is that they're getting a brand new, shiny quarterback. Now, he's not necessarily brand new, right? He's been around the league for a while, but he's a nice, great quarterback, Matthew Stafford. They get rid of Everett, his competition, and now the upside, the upside's very high. Stafford throws to the tight end, which was obvious by the fact that TJ Hawkinson did so well last year. So I think Tyler Higbee is in for a very good season with some pretty high upside going as the tight end number 9 off of the board. My tight end number 9 this season is Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles, underdog ADP, tight end number 8 off the board, overall pick 102.10, a middle of the pack 9th round pick. So when it comes to Dallas Goedert, his upside was seeming to be sky high. I had him ranked, I think originally a couple of months ago, like right after the season when I did my tight end rankings, as like a top 6, top 5 tight end, because the upside there in Philadelphia was extremely high. But the fact is they kept Zach Ertz. Everyone was talking about how Zach Ertz was going to get traded. Even I believed it. It seemed like Zach Ertz's days were numbered in Philadelphia, but Zach Ertz is still there. But it appears to me that Jalen Hurts likes throwing the ball more to Dallas Goedert, and that Dallas Goedert will be able to eat in this scenario, especially since they run a lot of 2 tight end sets. But his upside is strangleholded, has been put down by the fact that Zach Ertz is still there. So again, does Zach Ertz being there mean that Goedert can't be successful? No, but it does limit the fact that he could potentially be a top 5 tight end, in my opinion, unless Zach Ertz was to get hurt or somehow get traded just a couple of weeks before kickoff. In 11 games, he finishes the tight end 20 in PPR, 20 in half PPR, and the tight end number 20 in standard, averaging 10.6 PPR points per game, 8.5, half PPR points per game, 6.4, standard points per game, meaning from a points per game perspective, he was the tight end number 9 in PPR, tied with Mike Licky Amagasicki on tight end number 10 in half PPR, and the tight end number 13 in standard. So he could still be a top 10 tight end with Zach Ertz, which is clear by those numbers, but his upside is definitely limited. 65 targets on the season last year, 5.9 per game, ranking 17th at tight end, 46 receptions, 4.2 per game, ranking 16th, 524 receiving yards, ranking 16th for 3 total touchdowns on the season, ranking 23rd. Now again, my assumption with Jalen Hurts under center, Dallas Goedert has a decent amount more upside because it seems like Jalen Hurts' favorite target is Dallas Goedert. It's going to be very interesting to see how this works with Zach Ertz, so I don't want to put your guys' expectations way too high because with Ertz there, I am definitely worried about Mr. Dallas Goedert. At number 10, we have Noah Fant, tight end of the Denver Broncos. So kind of one of the main things I want to be talking about in this video that I haven't brought up yet is that the tight end position is so fucking weird because I feel like if I don't get one of those top 5 guys that are off the board, right? Basically the top 4 guys, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wait on tight end because nothing excites me about Noah Fant. Nothing excites me about Logan Thomas. Nothing excites me about Robert Tonyan. There's a reason why I have Irv Smith ranked so highly. Because in this middle range of tight end, when they're going in like the middle rounds, around like 8, 9, 10, or 11, or maybe even earlier than that, around 7, 8, 9, 10, they don't excite me at all. They just do not, because I don't really see too much of a difference between any of them, and I wouldn't be surprised if Noah Fant finished 13 and some other random-ass tight end finished as the tight end number 10. Now, again, I am confident in my rankings, but I'm just saying that that range at tight end is very, very difficult to figure out. Now, Noah Fant is one of the most athletically gifted tight ends in the NFL. 98th percent 40-yard dash, 97th percentile speed score, 97th percentile burst score, 96th percentile agility score, 98th percentile catch radius. But those workout metrics that are elite don't mean shit, apparently, because Noah Fant has never really been elite in fantasy football like a lot of people try to talk him up to be. Underdog tight end number 10 off the board right now, pick 109.80, meaning he's being picked inside of the 10th round. In 15 games, he was the tight end number 8 in PPR, tied with Gronk, tight end 12 in half PPR, and the tight end number 13 in standard, averaging 10 PPR points per game, 7.9 half PPR points per game, and 5.8 standard points per game, meaning from a points per game perspective, he was the tight end 12 in PPR, 14 half PPR, tied with Gronk, and the tight end number 16 standard, tied with Hayden Hurst and Jimmy Graham. So, what's changed for Noah Fant? Not really much. Less horsecock Drew Lock really is a lot better, like I believe he could be. Then Noah Fant's probably just going to finish anywhere from 9 to 12 at the tight end position, and there's just nothing too exciting to talk about with Noah Fant. 93 targets, 6.6 per game, ranking 6th at tight end, 7th in receptions with 62, 673 receiving yards, 6th at tight end, and 3 total touchdowns, 23rd at tight end. Again, Noah Fant is very athletically gifted, but he has yet to show on the gridiron his ability to be a top 5 guy. That's why he's sitting here at number 10. Next up at number 11, we have Logan Thomas, tight end of the Washington football team. ADP tight end number 7 off the board, overall pick 101, 9th round pick right now. His ADP is moving up 7 spots on the week. So what has changed about Logan Thomas? Nothing. Still the same fucking tight end. I don't know why his ADP is basically going up near a whole round. The thing about Logan Thomas was last year, he did just the best case scenario for Logan Thomas, in my opinion. He was tight end number 3 in PPR, 6.5 PPR, and 7 in standard last year in 16 games. This motherfucker was a quarterback in college. Now, magically, in the NFL, this guy's been in the NFL since 2014. Then in 2020, he just blew up. Averaging 11 PPR points per game, 8.8 half PPR points per game, 6.5 standard points per game. Meaning from a points per game perspective, he was tight end 6 in PPR, tied with Hawkinson and Tonyan, 9.5 PPR, and tight end 11 in standard, tied with Gronk. Like, what the fuck? How did that even happen? And he did this through all of that tight end, or all of the quarterback inconsistencies there with all of the confusion. I think Logan Thomas is going to be fine, but to expect him to repeat those kind of numbers, to me, are a little bit crazy. Those numbers are 110 targets, 6.9 per game. Very nice for Logan Thomas, number 3 at tight end, 72 receptions, 4.5 per game. 3rd at tight end, 670 receiving yards, number 7 at tight end, and 6 total touchdowns, number 9 at tight end. Now, Fitzpatrick does like throwing to the tight end. We saw that last year with Mike Gesicki, but does that mean he's going to be like a top 5 tight end again? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if Logan Thomas or Robert Tonyan, who we're about to talk out, that were just one-year wonders. I'm talking Gary Barnidge. Tyler Eifert did have a few good years, but kind of in that same scenario. Like one of those guys who's just a one-year wonder, like Rebecca Black singing fucking Friday. Just that kind of a deal. So again, am I really nervous about Logan Thomas? No, but there's just nothing special about this motherfucker. Like nothing stands out to me that's like, damn, I need to draft Logan Thomas. Like that's just not going to happen. Sorry for screaming into your ears. Now, tight end, number 12. Final tight end of the video, underdog ADP tight end number 11, overall pick 112.7, 10th round pick, Robert Tonyan. Robert Tonyan last year finished as the tight end 4 in PPR, 3.5 PPR, and then number 3 in standard, averaging 11 PPR points per game, 7.9 half PPR points per game, and 7.8 standard points per game. Meaning from a points per game perspective, he was tight end 6 in PPR, tied with Hawkinson and Tonyan. How could he be tied with himself, you might ask? I'm not too sure. Tight end number 14 half PPR, tied with Gronk, and tight end number 5 in standard. All carried by the touchdowns. 11 fucking touchdowns on the season. 11, number 1 at tight end. What are the odds that happens again? Now, I'm not going to bet against the fact that he could score 10 plus touchdowns. You want to know why? Because Aaron Rodgers is his quarterback, and they're going to be scoring a lot of points again, I would assume, right? You could just assume that as well. But, again, he only had 59 targets, 3.9 per game. He only had 59 targets. He had a 12.9% target share in this offense. 19th at tight end. 12.9% target share. 52 receptions, 13th at tight end, 586 receiving yards, 13th at tight end, and again, 11 touchdowns, number 1 at tight end. He also had a game week 4 against Atlanta where this man literally took them out back behind the barn and fucking shot him in the back of the head. 6 receptions, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Down the stretch of the season, from week 11 on, Week 11 against Indy, 1 touchdown. Week 12 against Chicago, 1 touchdown. Week 13 against Philadelphia, 1 touchdown. 14 against Detroit, touchdown. Week 15 against Carolina, touchdown. Week 16 against Tennessee, no touchdown. But week 17 against Chicago, he scored again. Is that kind of pace reasonable for fantasy? Probably not. Probably not. That's why he's my tight end, number 12. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you did end up enjoying this video. And if you did, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out this content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 Fantasy Football Championship. Make sure you guys check out Owner's Box, code Drew9. Make sure to get that free entry. I mean, you could win $15,000 for free. Why not do it? That's at least how I see it. I entered it. It is going to be a fun time, and maybe you guys can beat me, and you can tweet out or, put in the comments that you beat me, and that'll be pretty fucking funny. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Make sure that you stay safe. As always, see you beautiful bastards in the morning. I love you guys. Goodbye. 15,000 subscribers also we hit today. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. Wouldn't be here without you. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Goodbye.